It's my feel-good breakfast show.
All right, let's get serious for a second here. Unfortunately, we live in an era of nude or naked selfies. That's just the bottom line. And unfortunately, your child is more likely than not to be asked to share such a selfie during his or her schooling time. Terrifying thought for parents, but it's happening. And this morning, we're going to chat to Nikki Bush, our good friend and human potential and parenting expert, who also happens to be the author of Tech Savvy Parenting and Future-Proof Your Child, about what you and your kids need to know about sharing nudes. It seems innocuous enough. Maybe you yourself have even done it and you felt that there were very few consequences, but when it comes to our children, it can be devastating. Nikki, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. You're going to have to forgive me because this is going to trigger me in every way possible. I already have an issue with how much is shared, or the angle with which people share photos of themselves on Instagram in particular. This is a whole different kettle of fish. So let's get the ugly truths out the way here. How young are kids when they start getting requests for nudes?
Such a great question, Graham. And sadly, it's from as early as 8, 9, 10 years of age, because we are doing the hand-me-down device thing where we pass down a smartphone to our children. And of course, a smartphone is internet linked, which means we give the whole world access to our child. That opens up a whole can of worms. It's not just the sexual predator, the man in the white van outside the school anymore that we need to be worried about. It's actually the whole world that we need to be worried about. And it's not if your child is going to be asked for a nude, it's when. And I speak at many schools. And I speak to groups of children, and I start from the age of 8 now. It used to be that I started speaking to kids from the age of 12. Now it's from the age of 8. And what these children tell me will turn your hair gray.
It's already gray. It's already happened. So what has led to this phenomenon? Obviously, you mentioned, the notion of sexual predators, but there's something else at play here. What is actually going on here? Why has this become so prevalent?
Let's understand human nature. Everybody has a need to be noticed. Everybody wants to be seen. And actually, Graham, the attention game is the biggest game in town. We need to understand that from a human behavior point of view, and it applies to children who are in primary school, high school, and to adults, because adults are playing this game as well. We want to be liked, we want to be followed, we want to be seen, and children will do anything, especially children who have an emotional void that needs filling. They will do anything, even sharing a nude. But unfortunately, many children don't understand the consequences or what will be done with that nude once they share it.
So let's get into that. What do other kids do when they have access to these nude photographs of your children? What are some of the repercussions?
Well, they share them, of course, don't they? Because it creates a stir. And even the kids sharing the pictures, creating attention to themselves, don't care about the repercussions for your child's life. They might start slut shaming, sharing that naked photo with their mates, and they give, especially when it comes to girls, the boys score the girls. Maybe they Photoshop them. This is actually something that some girls have been talking about to me, how even if they haven't shared a nude, their faces are being Photoshopped onto a nude body. So this is a very strange time that we live in. But nudes are a form of currency. They're a form of currency. And what our kids really need to know is this, Graham. The minute that you share a nude, and this ball is symbolic of a nude, the minute you share it with somebody on WhatsApp or on a social network, you have lost control of the message. The ball is out of your hands, and to get it back is next to near impossible. You will never be able to fully control that picture that has gone out again, because it's currency, it will be shared.
So many questions still to ask. I'm sure a lot of parents out there freaking out, just like me. And, well, you should be. It's vital that we equip ourselves and, most importantly, our children to traverse this digital landscape. We're going to be continuing our conversation with Nikki in just a bit. Stay with us.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue with quite a serious topic this morning, something that's certainly pushing all of my buttons. We are tackling today with our human potential and parenting expert, Nikki Bush, who's also the author of Tech Savvy Parenting and Future-Proof Your Child, about the scourge of nude selfies, particularly among young people. Nikki, play it out for us. How does this actually happen? Because you would think that just sending a nude picture of yourself would require you kind of crossing a barrier that would be quite difficult for most of us. So how are children goaded into doing this?
You're absolutely right, Graham. In fact, I say to kids when I'm in a school hall with them, will someone come up on the stage and take their clothes off, please? And they look at me as if I'm stupid. And I say, but why then are you sharing nudes on WhatsApp and on social media? Because it's even more disastrous for you than standing up here and taking your clothes off in the real world. You see, children need a bridge to understand the difference between real and virtual, which is why I often use concrete examples of asking someone to come and take their clothes off. Because then they go, oh, well, then why am I doing it on the phone? This is how it goes down. There's often nagging. In fact, there are cases where girls in particular have been asked up to 53 times for a naked selfie. And eventually, just to get the boy to go away, they send it. And often what happens then is that girl is in serious reputational trouble actually for the rest of her life. Some children have even had to change their identity, their name. So this would be a conversation that I picked up on this amazing app that I discovered recently called Clicked, K-L-I-K-D. And it uses WhatsApp simulations to teach kids what scenarios they might land up in. And I thought this was just so absolutely accurate. And it goes like this. Girl on a beach who has a boyfriend. She's in her bikini. She gets a message from the boyfriend saying, I'm missing you. Studying is making me lonely. And she sends a picture of herself, her head and her shoulders lying on the beach and says, this should cheer you up. And he sends emojis indicating how hot she is, saying, oh my gosh, you're so hot, babe. He's playing to her ego. And then he just slips in, how about sending me one that shows a little more? And as this conversation unfolds, there's an, I don't know, from the girl. And then he says, come on, you'll make me the happiest guy in the world. You know, people play on this, I'll love you more if. Meanwhile, while he's negotiating a pic that shows more of her, and because he's actually negotiating a nude here, he's already circulating the one just of her head and shoulders to his mates. And then he says something like, you know, this picture of you is torturing me. Can you send me a nude? And now we need to give our kids a plan. What's quite interesting here is the girl turns around to him on WhatsApp and says, I can't send you a nude, but my dad is keen. Should I ask him? So we need to give our kids some one-liners to get out of trouble when they find themselves in a sticky situation. And that's why I love this particular app so much. Because it's not adults like, you know, lecturing kids. It's how it really goes down.
Self-discovery.
Anyway, boys don't often stop here. And let me tell you, this happens to boys as well, where girls are nagging them for a nude too. So girls are not immune from being the nasty ones here. So whether you have a boy or a girl, you need to get your children to make a promise to themselves never to share a naked selfie, because as I said to you earlier, the minute it's out of your hands, you press send or share, you have lost control of the message and you can never fully erase it.
So here's the extreme side of where this can go. Obviously, we look at the sexual grooming, the most terrifying angle on this. We look at the bullying, terrifying in itself. We have seen young people committing suicide because of cyberbullying, and I would imagine this, having a tool like this in the hands of the wrong person, would devastate a child, and as you've said, have lifelong repercussions. What then do we need to foster within our children? Because yes, we can give them those tools to say no or to have that one-liner, but within themselves, they need to be in a place in terms of their own self-image and how they see themselves socially to be strong enough not to bow to this kind of pressure. What do we need to be fostering within our children so that they themselves will say no? How do we prepare them for this?
At the end of the day, it's about instilling in our children that they have value and that they have the right to privacy. Now, even as parents, we are playing into this thing of oversharing. It's called sharenting, or sharing way too many pictures of our kids online. But helping your kids to understand the attention game and why kids do what they do, and the fact that nobody asks you for something like a nude without an agenda. It's never because I'll love you more. It's never because, if you don't send me this, I don't think we're going to work out. That is making you feel small. That is making you're being played. You are actually being played. So it's that critical thinking of, why are they asking me for this and what are they going to do with it? And does it serve me? So we have to get our kids to ask themselves questions about themselves, let alone everybody else. How is this going to serve me if I share it? It's a good question. And that is dinner table conversation to have with your children. This is not one conversation you have with your kids. This is drip, drip, drip fed conversations that you start as early as 4 years old, Graham, where you're teaching your child that his body has rights and whatever is covered by his underwear or his swimming costume is private. And I think that children don't understand the concept of privacy anymore.
Oh, Nikki, thank you. In one fell swoop, you've made me terrified as a parent all over again. I love these catch-ups with you. Thank you so much. This has really opened my eyes, and I hope a lot of parents out there have had a similar light bulb moment, but the conversation needs to start, and as you say, it needs to keep on going. Dinner table conversation every night. Your children need to understand their value. Nikki Bush, thank you so much.
Great pleasure. Thank you, Graham. And just always remember, no is okay and self-respect is essential.
It's the cornerstone. If you enjoyed that and you would like to glean more, especially as a parent that is like me struggling through this new digital landscape, get the book Tech Savvy Parenting and Future-Proof Your Child from human potential and parenting expert Nikki Bush. She gets it.